Okay, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay, we'll start. Okay, can you see the slide or not? Okay. Okay, today we'll start the hormones of anterior pituitary gland. Okay, so in the last class we talked about the cells of the anterior pituitary gland, such as somatotropes, thyrotropes, lectotropes, gonadotropes, corticotropes. Okay, so those different types of cells are there, and you know that they are also synthesizing and secreting different types of hormones. Okay, so you already know the relationship between hypothalamus and the anterior pituitary gland. Okay, how hypothalamic hormone influence the anterior hormones of the anterior pituitary gland. That one also we have already discussed. Okay, now we'll see what are those hormones produced by the anterior pituitary gland. Number one is the growth hormone. So in short, we can say that it is GH. Okay, so another name for growth hormone is somatotropin. Okay, now let's see. This hormone, growth hormone, is secreted by the somatotropes, or here you can see the spelling. Okay, somatotropes, PES and PHS. It is similar only. Okay, secreted episodically. That means sometimes the secretion has increased within one day. Also, it will increase, coming down, going up, coming down again. But it is secreted episodically, not at a regular interval of time. That increase in the secretion of hormone and decrease in this hormone, okay, secretion, it is not at regular interval of time. That is why we can say it is secreted episodically. Okay, so as you can see from the diagram, okay, on the right side, the structure, okay, the diagrammatic structure of the hormone, this hormone is depicted here. Okay, so as you can see from the diagram, it is a single chain. Okay, it is a single chain. Let's say protein hormone. Okay, and there are two disulfide bonds. Okay, now this is the first one. You can see here bonds. One bond is there. Here another one is it is here. Okay, that means there are two disulfide bonds. Okay, so usually growth hormone is consisting of 191 amino acids in case of human being, and in case of bovine, the number of amino acids in growth hormone is 192. Okay, so as you can guess from its name itself, okay, the function of this hormone is to stimulate growth, or we can say cell reproduction. Okay, this is the main function. Okay, now let's see. This point is very important. Okay, this growth hormone acts on the liver and other tissues. Okay, mainly acting on the liver or in some other tissues. It stimulates the production of insulin-like growth factor 1, IGF-1. Okay, so this diagram you can see here. So from here we can see the somatotropes, it is releasing growth hormone, and this growth hormone, it will act on the livers. Okay, let's say act on the liver, and what it will do is that it will cause synthesis of IGF-1 or its release. Okay, and what is the function of this IGF-1? IGF-1, it is having now, it is responsible for the growth promoting effect of the growth hormone. Okay, so it will influence so many organs. Here you can see IGF-1 will influence all, we can say, organs of the body. So here we can see it is the indirect effect of the growth hormone. It means it will cause production of IGF-1 by the liver, and IGF-1 will do the growth promoting effect of the, growth hormone. Okay. So blood levels of circulating IGF-1 tend to decrease as animal ages or become obese. Okay. So the meaning of this one is that the IGF-1 level in the plasma, it will decrease where a person or animal is becoming older and older. Okay. Or ages. Or if the individual is having fat deposition to a large extent, or he or she become obese. Okay, so that will decrease the IGF concentration in the body. Okay, so our main the important point here in this slide is that growth hormone, it usually acts indirectly, okay, by producing IGF-1 from the liver. Okay, although it is also having direct effect. Okay, but most of the time it is having the indirect effect. That means stimulating the production of IGF-1 by the liver. Okay, so another important point here, natural level of growth hormone fluctuate. Okay, natural level of growth hormone fluctuate during the day and seem to be influenced by physical activity. For example, level rise during exercise. Okay, and during sleep also it has increased. Okay, so this point is important. So initially I told you that growth hormone is secreted episodically. That means the level will sometimes increase and it will come down again within one day also. But as I told you, that increase and decrease in its secretion, it is not at regular interval of time. Okay. Now, what are the stimulators of the growth hormone secretion? Number one, you know very well, GHRH, growth hormone releasing hormone, which is coming from the hypothalamus. Okay, so this GHRH, it will act on the somatotropes to produce GH. Number two is ghrelin. Ghrelin is another hormone which is released by the stomach. Okay, and this will influence the secretion of the growth hormone. Another one is sleep. So during sleep, there is increase in the secretion of growth hormone. And you already know exercise will also increase the secretion of growth hormone. Next is hypoglycemia, will increase the growth hormone secretion. Hypoglycemia means low level of glucose in the blood. Okay, and dietary protein. That means if you take dietary protein, okay, this protein will increase the growth hormone secretion. Another one is arginine, amino acid will also increase the growth hormone secretion. And then increase androgen secretion during puberty. Okay, androgen secretion such as testosterone and all. Okay, during puberty, this will also increase the growth hormone secretion. Now, what are the inhibitors of growth hormone secretion? You know very well that the first one is somatostatin. Okay, somatostatin, which is also coming from the hypothalamus. Okay, it will inhibit the growth hormone secretion. And number two is that growth hormone and IGF-1 levels in the blood. So negative feedback mechanism you already know. Suppose GHRH and ghrelin, they have increased the secretion of growth hormone. Okay, and growth hormone will also increase the secretion of IGF-1. But when this level, growth hormone and IGF-1 is increasing, they will be having negative feedback on the posterior pituitary gland as well as on the hypothalamus to decrease growth hormone secretion. The meaning of this one is that if the GH and IGF-1 level has increased in the plasma, okay, negative feedback mechanism will operate. Okay, and then the next one is hyperglycemia. When there is high glucose concentration in the blood, okay, GH will be suppressed. And another one is glucocorticoids such as cortisol can decrease the growth hormone secretion. And the last one is estradiol hormone, which is produced by the testes and the ovary. Okay. Now, how growth hormone secretion is regulated? Just now I have already told you up to some extent I have already told you how it is regulated. But let's see from this diagram. Okay. The morphology and number of somatotropes are remarkably constant throughout life, while their secretion patterns changes. Okay, morphology and number of somatotropes. Here you can see somatotropes are there. Okay, the number as well as their morphology, they are usually constant throughout life. Okay, that means from birth till death. Okay, their number, it is not changed much. Okay, but when a person is becoming older and older, the secretion pattern changes. Okay, the secretion of the growth hormone changes. Pituitary synthesis and secretion of growth hormone by somatotropes is influenced by the episodic hypothalamic hormones that you already know here in this diagram. One is GHRH, which is having positive effect on the growth hormone secretion. Another one is somatostatin, which is inhibiting growth hormone secretion. Okay, this I've already told you. I think there is no need of repeating it. Okay, and you also know that the main function of growth hormone is through synthesis of IGF-1 by the liver. Okay, and then IGF-1 will also be released. And you know that this IGF-1 is having so many functions that I've already shown you. It is causing adipocyte, fat metabolism and growth of the bones, growth of the muscles, and all. That one also I'll show you afterwards. Okay, now the concentration of IGF-1 has increased. Okay, and you know that the gastric peptide ghrelin. Okay, so from the stomach ghrelin is produced. Okay, let's see first the positive factors which influence the secretion of this growth hormone. We'll just see first, stress is there, amino acid concentration, hypoglycemia. Okay, low concentration of glucose in the blood. And another one is ghrelin. All these factors, okay, all these factors, what they will do is that it will lead to more production of GHRH or directly more production of growth hormone. So the growth hormone will be secreted because of the effect of ghrelin, stress, amino acids such as arginine, hypoglycemia. Okay, so this will increase the secretion of the GH. Okay, now GH secretion has increased, and GH, its main function is, as I told you, directly it will cause lipolysis of triglycerides. That means more production of free fatty acid will be there. Okay, so the free fatty acid concentration in the blood, it will increase. Another function is, you already know, GH will influence the liver to produce IGF-1. Okay, this hormone. So it means that free fatty acid and IGF-1 concentration now it will increase. When it is reaching the maximal level, normal level, what it will do is that this free fatty acid, IGF-1, and even the high level of growth hormone, they will all have negative feedback on the hypothalamus as well as on the pituitary. That means it will lead to more production of somatostatin, or here less production of growth hormone. Okay, so from this diagram everything is clear. Okay, so this green in color, they are the factors which are causing increased secretion of the growth hormone, and on the left side these are the suppressor, we can say. Okay, so negative feedback mechanism, it is important. Okay, that means when growth hormone concentration is increasing, it means there will be increase in free fatty acid concentration also, because it will lead to lipolysis of the triglyceride. And another function is that growth hormone will act on the liver to increase the IGF-1. Okay, now when these levels are going up, that means growth hormone, free fatty acid, IGF-1. Okay, so they will have a suppressive effect on the hypothalamus as well as on the pituitary to increase here in the hypothalamus somatostatin, or in the pituitary to decrease the growth hormone secretion, so that the growth hormone level will go down again. And when the level is going down, okay, when it is reaching the lower limit again, all these ghrelin and other factors again, they will start their action again to increase the secretion of growth hormone. So the cycle will keep on, it will keep on going like that. Okay. So mechanism of action, here also I've already told, but we'll repeat something. Means growth hormone acts both directly through its own receptor and indirectly through the induced production of IGF-1. So just now I already told you that IGF-1 is very important for the promoting action, growth promoting action for the GH. Okay, that is indirect. Okay, so let's see this diagram. Okay, growth hormone we have. Okay, what is its direct effect? That means this growth hormone is having its receptor located in the adipocytes or in the fat cells. That means it can cause lipolysis of the fats. That means breakdown of the triglycerides into free fatty acids. Just now I've already told you. Okay, so this is the direct effect because these adipocyte cells, they are having receptors for growth hormone. But the more important effect is its indirect effect. That means it will act on the liver to produce IGF-1. And IGF-1, it is having now so many functions that I've already shown you the diagram also in the previous slide. Okay, IGF-1 action is very large. That means it will cause growth of the chondrocytes, or let's say growth of the bones, again growth of the muscles and all. Okay, those are the indirect effects. So here you can see that this is the bone. Okay, after IGF act on the bone, there will be increase in the length of the bones. Okay, direct effect are the result of growth hormone binding to its receptors on the target cells. This one. Okay, on adipocyte. So I'll not repeat here. I've already told you. So indirect effect, as you can see, I've already told you here. Here also you can see growth hormone. It acts on the liver, which is causing production of IGF-1. And this IGF-1, as you can see, it is having so many functions. Okay. So I'll not repeat all this. So functions of growth hormone. It's clear that its main function is its effect on the growth. Okay. So mainly through the IGF-1, I'll not repeat. IGF-1 stimulate proliferation of chondrocytes. That means cartilage cells resulting in bone growth. Here you can see IGF-1, it will lead to the proliferation of chondrocytes, okay, cartilage cells, and which will be resulting into bone growth. Okay, IGF-1 also appears to be the key player in muscle growth. Here the muscle. So muscle fibers, they are also carrying receptors for this IGF-1 so that muscle growth will take place. Okay. It also stimulates amino acid uptake and protein synthesis in muscle and other tissue. That means the important function on muscle fiber is that it increases amino acid uptake, because we know that muscle is mainly composed of the protein. Okay, so to synthesize protein, amino acid is important. Okay, so this IgM, it will increase amino acid uptake, and those amino acids can be utilized for synthesis of protein. Tell again. Okay, nobody's here. No request. I think now they can join. Okay. Slide is visible. Is it visible or not? Okay. This is its effect on growth. Okay. So its effect on growth is mainly through the indirect effect, that is by IGF-1. Okay. Metabolic effect. Okay, growth hormone has important effects on protein, lipid, and carbohydrate metabolism. Okay, in some cases, a direct effect of growth hormone has been clearly demonstrated. In others, IGF-1 is thought to be the critical mediator. So, as I told you that growth hormone, it can have direct effect or it can have the indirect effect through IGF-1. Okay, in some cases, it appears that both direct and indirect effects are at play. That means some tissues, they may be influenced by growth hormone directly or by the IGF-1. Okay, let's say in protein metabolism, what it does. Okay, these are very big topic, but in UG, we'll just, simplify or make it short. Okay, you just have to remember these points. Okay, in general, growth hormone stimulates protein anabolism in many tissues. That means there is involvement in that gene. Okay, what we have already discussed, transcription, translation, and all. Okay, so this growth hormone is causing gene expression for the synthesis of protein. Protein anabolism means synthesis of protein. Okay, this effect reflects increased amino acid uptake. Just now we already know, if there is increased amino acid uptake by the cells, that means those amino acids are available for protein synthesis. So increased amino acid uptake is important for protein synthesis. Then at the level of gene, as I told you, there will be increased protein synthesis. Translation will be there. Okay, so which is mediated by, again, this IGF-1. Okay, and there is also decreased oxidation of proteins. This IGF-1, it is protecting the protein. That means breakdown of protein is also prevented. What about fat metabolism? Okay, growth hormone enhances the utilization of fats by stimulating triglyceride breakdown, oxidation in adipocytes. This I've already told you. Okay, what growth hormone does in adipocyte is that it is causing breakdown of the triglyceride into free fatty acids that I've already told you. Okay, oxidation in adipocytes also. And the last one is carbohydrate metabolism. Growth hormone maintain blood glucose within a normal range. So this is very important. Point is that growth hormone is related to blood glucose concentration, because this growth hormone, it will try to increase blood glucose concentration, unlike insulin. Insulin is trying to decrease the blood glucose concentration. On the other hand, growth hormone will try to increase blood glucose concentration. This is also important. Sometimes the blood glucose concentration may be very low. Okay, so growth hormone will try to increase this glucose concentration. That is an important function. Okay, so as you can see, growth hormone is often said to have anti-insulin activity. Why it is having anti-insulin activity means because it is trying to increase the blood glucose concentration. Okay, insulin is trying to decrease the blood glucose concentration. That is why we can say growth hormone is having anti-insulin activity. Okay, so I'll not repeat. It enhances glucose synthesis in the liver. Okay, so this is important. Gluconeogenesis will be there. Okay, so these are the what to say, summary of the growth hormone function. I'll not explain again. Now, an important again points which will be important for your exam also. Okay, disease states due to growth hormone. Okay, too much secretion of growth hormone is harmful. Okay, and if it is too less also, it is harmful. So it should be, each person or animal should have optimal level of growth hormone, okay, for normal function, okay, of the body. Okay, let's say deficiency of growth hormone. What happens when there is deficiency of growth hormone? Okay, this deficiency state, it can result from, number one, deficiency in the production of the growth hormone. Point number one, there may be deficiency in the production of the growth hormones. Let's say somatotrophs, they are not producing sufficient amount of growth hormone. That will lead to deficiency in the blood. Okay. And point number two, another possibility is there might be decrease in the target cells response to the growth hormone. Decrease in the target cells response to the growth hormone. Okay. That means sensitivity of the target cell. Okay, it is reduced. Although growth hormone secretion from the pituitary gland is normal. Okay, the level is normal in the blood. But the target cells, let's say such as fat cells, chondrocytes, or even the muscle cells. Okay, they are not responding. They cannot respond optimally. Because let's say there is decrease in the receptors for growth hormone. Okay, there is decreased sensitivity. Okay, so these are the two possibilities why there is deficiency of growth hormone. Okay, clinically, deficiency in growth hormone or defects in its binding to receptors are seen as a growth retardation known as dwarfism. Okay, so dwarfism is a condition when a person or animal become small. Okay, because of lack of the, let's say, growth hormone secretion or let's say, insensitivity of the target cell to the growth hormone. Okay, and we can say the individual or the animal a dwarf. Okay, the dwarf. Dwarf is a condition. Dwarf is that individual. Okay. So the manifestation of growth hormone deficiency, this dwarfism, depends upon the age of onset of the disorder and can result from either heritable or acquired disease. It may be heritable. Heritable means a person may be inheriting the genes from either of his or her parents. Okay? So it can be acquired also, not from the parents. Okay? So age of onset is very important. If the onset is very early, okay, that person will become dwarf. But if it is somewhat, late, okay, maybe during adolescence, okay, the manifestation may not be remarkable or it may not be manifested to a great extent. Okay, so this is the deficiency of growth hormone. The condition is known as dwarfism. Now the opposite condition, okay, excess growth hormone secretion. It is seen as two distinctive disorders. So in this condition, there is too much secretion of the growth hormone. Number one disorder is gigantism or giantism. Okay. So it is a condition characterized by excessive growth and height, significantly above average. It is the result of excessive growth hormone secretion that begins in young age or adolescence. So this gigantism takes place during young age or during adolescence. Okay, so this is important. That is where a person may become very tall. Okay, because there is excessive secretion of the growth hormone. Okay, it is a very rare disorder, usually resulting from a tumor of somatotrophs. Okay, so gigantism and dwarfism, I think in human being also we have observed. Okay, although it is not very common. Okay. But it is there in every, let's say, community. I think all of us have seen it. Okay. So this gigantism, it may be because of tumor of somatotrophs. Tumor of somatotrophs means there is increase in the size of the number of somatotroph cells. That means they will produce high amount of the growth hormone. So ultimately, it will affect the growth. Okay. So this gigantism occurs during young age or adolescence. Okay. Now number two, excessive secretion of growth hormone. That is the acromegaly. Okay. So this condition is occurring during adulthood. Okay. Excess secretion of growth hormone during adulthood. Then what will happen? The reason is usually the result of benign pituitary tumors. When there is pituitary tumors, it means, as I told you, somatotrophs, they will also increase in number. They will secrete large number of growth hormone. But this is happening during adulthood. Okay. So what will happen is that the excessive growth hormone and IGF also lead to a number of metabolic derangement, including hyperglycemia. So you already know that this growth hormone function is to increase the blood glucose concentration. Okay. If that condition, acromegaly or too much secretion of growth hormone is there during adulthood, there will also be hyperglycemia, high blood glucose concentration. The onset is typically occurring over several years. That means it will take so much time. Okay, the beginning. Okay, slowly it is taking place, this acromegaly condition. Okay, so what are the clinical signs? Number one is overgrowth of extremities. So this diagram I have shown you normal hand and the acromegalic hand. Okay, so usually there is thickening of the bones. Okay, this is during adulthood. Thickening of the bones is there. Here you can see the bones are thickened. Okay, soft tissue swellings also it will be there. Another one is there, abnormalities in the jaw structure. Here you can see some abnormalities also there. Okay, and even it can lead to some problem, heart problem, cardiac disease may also be observed. Okay, so this is in brief regarding the growth hormone. Okay, so if you want to read more, there are so many information. Okay, available in the internet or in the books also you can read. Okay, so the second hormone, okay, anterior pituitary hormone is thyroid stimulating hormone, TSH, or it is also known as thyrotropin. Okay, so this is a glycoprotein hormone. So here I have shown two structure of the thyrotropin or TSH, this one and this one. Okay, similar only. Okay, it is glycoprotein hormones. Glycoprotein hormone means it is a mixture of protein and carbohydrate. Okay, so these are, you already know, they are secreted from the thyrotropes of the anterior pituitary gland. It is composed of two subunits. Okay, unlike growth hormone was a single protein, a single chain protein, but TSH is having two subunits. Number one is alpha. Okay, so this is the alpha subunit, and which is composing around 96 amino acids, and the second one is beta subunit. Okay, which are covalently bound to one another. So this point is very important. Okay, the alpha subunits of thyroid stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone, follicle stimulating hormone, pregnant male serum gonadotropin, human chorionic gonadotropins. Okay, they are all identical, similar. Okay, alpha subunit, this alpha subunit is similar in all these hormones. Okay, and contain 92 amino acids in human, but 96 amino acids in almost all other vertebrates. Okay, so in human being, this alpha subunit is consisting of 92 amino acids, but in other vertebrates, it is around 96 amino acids. But you see, the beta subunits vary. Okay, so there is no, they are not identical now. The beta subunits of all these hormones, okay, they are different. Okay, this beta subunit, which confers the, let's say, the specificity of this TSH, or in the LH also, beta subunit will be specific for LH only. Okay, or in FSH also, beta subunit, it is specific for FSH only. But you have to remember that alpha subunits in all these hormones, they are identical. Okay, but not the beta subunit. Okay, so the beta subunit is unique to the TSH also, you see, and therefore determines its function. It means beta subunit provides receptor specificity. TSH associates only with its own receptor. So we already know very well this one. Why? Thyroid gland is specific for this TSH, because thyroid glands, they are having receptors for binding of this TSH, okay, beta subunit. Free alpha and beta subunits have essentially no biological activity. So this point is also important. So we know that I told you that beta subunit is specific. Okay, it confers the specificity, but without alpha subunit, it cannot do its function. Okay, so this conformation, this binding, linking covalently, it is very important. Okay, although beta subunit is important for the determination of the function, but without alpha subunit, it cannot do its biological function. Separately, it cannot do it. It has to bind to the alpha subunit. Likewise, FSH, LH, that PMSG and HCG also, it is similar. Okay, without alpha subunit, they cannot perform their function. Okay. So as you know, TSH, it influences thyroid gland for the production of thyroid hormones. There are two thyroid hormones, T3 and T4, that we will discuss afterwards. Okay. Can you hear me? Are you listening or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, then we will continue. Okay. Now, how TSH secretion is regulated? Okay, it is very simple. Negative feedback mechanism we have already discussed. Okay, I don't have a write up here also. From the diagram itself, you can understand everything. Okay, so hypothalamus we have already discussed. In the hypothalamus, TRH is produced, thyroid hypertrophin releasing hormone. Okay, what it does is that when it is released into the bloodstream and reaching the pituitary gland, it will stimulate the thyrotropes to secrete TSH. Okay, then TSH is secreted into the bloodstream, and when it is reaching the thyroid gland, it will bind to its receptors in the thyroid gland. Okay, and this will lead to the secretion and production of thyroid hormones T3 and T4. Okay, and the thyroid hormones concentration keeps on increasing. Okay, but when it is reaching the maximal level, this thyroid hormone themselves will have a negative feedback on the hypothalamus to decrease TRH secretion as well as pituitary thyrotropes to decrease TSH secretion, so that the level will go down again. That means thyroid hormone concentration will also go down. Okay, but when the level is too low, means it is reaching the, lower limit. At that condition, this negative feedback mechanism will be removed, so that TRH will start its secretion affecting TSH, and then TSH will influence again thyroid gland to produce thyroid hormones. Okay, so the third hormone is adrenocorticotropic hormone, SCTH. Okay, so SCTH, it is producing a hormone. It is also known as corticotropin. Okay, and secreted by, as you know, corticotropes of the anterior pituitary gland, polypeptide hormone. It is quite a small, polypeptide. It is consisting of only around 39 amino acids. Okay, so this is the important point now. So CRH, we know that CRH from the hypothalamus, it will influence the secretion of SCTH of the anterior pituitary gland. And SCTH, when it is reaching the adrenal cortex, this one also, it is a big endocrine gland, we'll discuss in detail also. Okay, when it is reaching the adrenal cortex, it will bind to their receptors and starts producing glucocorticoids such as cortisol, as well as mineralocorticoids such as aldosterone. Okay, so the target organ of SCTH is the adrenal cortex to produce glucocorticoids and mineralocorticoids. These glucocorticoids and mineralocorticoids, they are hormones only. Okay, so how this SCTH secretion is regulated? Again, negative feedback mechanism is important. So actually, this SCTH secretion starts when there is stress, any type of stress or stressors. Okay, it will stimulate the increased production of CRH from the hypothalamus and release into the anterior pituitary gland. Okay, then it will stimulate corticotrope cells to produce and release SCTH. Then SCTH is released into the bloodstream. When it is reaching adrenal cortex, it will lead to the production of glucocorticoid known as cortisol. Okay, cortisol will be released again into the bloodstream. When cortisol level is having high blood glucose concentration, or when it is reaching the upper limit, okay, again negative feedback mechanism will be operated on the anterior pituitary gland as well as hypothalamus. That means CRH production will decrease. Ultimately, SCTH production will also be decreased, and cortisol level will also go down. Okay, but when the cortisol level is too low again, okay, again this negative feedback mechanism, it will be removed, so that CRH production will resume, SCTH production will also be resumed, and then cortisol level will also go up again. Okay, so this is the regulation of SCTH secretion. Okay, so the last one for today's class is prolactin. Okay, prolactin is another important hormone produced by the anterior pituitary gland. Okay, as you can see from the diagram, it is also a single chain, protein hormone. Okay, and the length of mature this hormone is between 194 and 199 amino acids. So it is consisting of amino acid between 194 and 199. Okay, the hormone is stabilized by 3 intramolecular disulfide bonds. So like the growth hormone. Okay, in the growth hormone, there are 2 disulfide bonds, but here in prolactin, there are 3 disulfide bonds. Okay. Although the anterior pituitary is the major source of prolactin, the hormone is synthesized and secreted in many other tissues also. So we know that prolactin, the main source is the pituitary gland, but so many other tissues, they are also secreting prolactin, okay, to a small extent. Overall, several hundred different exons have been reported for prolactin in various species. It is difficult to point to a tissue that does not express prolactin receptors. Okay, so again, it is a generalized, we can say a generalized hormone. That means it is said that almost all the tissues, they are expressing the receptors for prolactin. That means they are containing receptors for the binding of the prolactin. Okay. So what is its regulation? So the regulation of prolactin secretion is somewhat different from that of other hormones. Okay, it is not like negative feedback mechanism. Okay, let's see. In contrast to what is seen with all the other pituitary hormones, the hypothalamus chronically suppresses prolactin secretion from the pituitary. Okay, so when we talk about the hypothalamic hormones, also dopamine, we have already discussed. Okay, so when there is high production of dopamine from the hypothalamus, it will suppress the lactotropes for the production of prolactin. Okay, so this is when there is decrease in the dopamine secretion. Okay, it means prolactin secretion can increase. Okay, we can say in other words, there is usually a hypothalamic brake set on the lactotropes, and prolactin is secreted only when the brake is released. That means this is a brake by the dopamine. Okay, when dopamine secretion is normal. Okay, so usually there will be a brake in the prolactin secretion. But when this brake is stopped, that means when dopamine secretion is decreased. Okay, so that prolactin secretion can increase. Okay. Dopamine serves as a major prolactin inhibiting factor or brake on prolactin secretion. If the pituitary stalk is cut, prolactin secretion increases. Okay, now let's see just the second diagram. Suppose you cut here. Okay, you cut here the pituitary gland at the pituitary stalk. What will happen is that we are cutting the connection between hypothalamus and anterior pituitary gland. So this is the hypothalamus, this is the anterior pituitary gland. What will happen is that there will be increase in prolactin secretion because we are stopping here a brake, dopamine secretion from the hypothalamus. So brake has been stopped, okay, for the secretion of prolactin. If there is no brake, it means prolactin secretion will increase. Okay, but if you see other hormones, okay, like FSH, LH, TSH, growth hormone, okay, ACTH, okay, all these hormones secretion will be decreased because TSH, GHRH, okay, GnRH, even CRH, they are important for the release of all these hormones. Okay, you can see here. So this is, it's different. Okay, prolactin secretion is quite different. If you cut the pituitary stalk, that means prolactin secretion will increase. But all other hormones, okay, hormones means this anterior pituitary hormones, their secretion will decrease. Okay. So estrogen provide a positive control over the prolactin synthesis and secretion. So here we can see estrogen. Estrogen is having a positive effect, influence on the secretion of the prolactin. Okay, stimulation of the nipples and mammary gland leads to prolactin release. The increasing blood concentration of estrogen during that pregnancy appears to be responsible for the elevated levels of prolactin. That means we have to remember that estrogen is increasing prolactin secretion. This is necessary to prepare the mammary gland for lactation at the end of gestation. So we can say that prolactin and estrogen, they are working together. Okay. So prolactin, as its name indicates, it is important for the synthesis and secretion of the milk. Okay, so during increased production of estrogen, it means that the body is, prepared for the, producing the offspring, so that milk will be synthesized. Okay, it is increasing the growth of the mammary gland also for the production of the milk. Okay, now what are the functions of prolactin? The conventional view of prolactin is that its major target organ is the mammary gland. I'll go. It stimulates mammary gland development and milk production. Okay, it is having multiple functions. Let's say number one, mammary gland development, milk production, and reproduction. Prolactin induces lobulo-alveolar growth of the mammary gland. It stimulates lactogenesis after giving birth. That means starting of the milk production. Prolactin, along with cortisol and insulin, acts together to stimulate transcription of the genes that encode milk protein, casein. Okay, production of the milk protein, which is known as casein. Okay, which is induced by this prolactin, along with cortisol and insulin. In some species, prolactin is necessary for maintenance of corporal luteum. That means corpus luteum. Okay, maintenance is important during pregnancy. So this will be discussed in more detail in reproduction system. Okay, prolactin appears to have stimulatory effect in some species on maternal behavior, such as nest building and retrieval of scattering. So we know that why a bird has started building up its nest, because there is increase in the prolactin. It is about to lay eggs. Okay, and we also know that brooding behavior in hen. Okay, the breed of that chicken we all know. Okay, especially those who are in the village, we know that this breed. Okay, local breeds of the poultry. Okay, after hatching, they used to have that brooding behavior. Okay, they are very protective of their young ones. Okay, so it is said that this is because of more production of prolactin. Okay, so it also provides the body with sexual gratification after sexual acts. Okay, so it is also involved in, prolactin is also involved in the sexual gratification. But if it is too much, again, it can decrease the libido, or it can decrease the sexual drive. Okay. So effects on immune function. Prolactin receptor is widely expressed by the immune cells. Some types of lymphocytes synthesize and secrete prolactin. So we all know that lymphocyte, okay, it is very important for the protection of the body, okay, immune function. And it is said that some types of lymphocyte synthesize and secrete prolactin. Okay. Other functions, it is important for the synthesis of this one, oligodendrocyte, okay, in the central nervous system. And in case of lungs also, they are contributing to the surfactant synthesis. Okay, surfactant, they are very important in decreasing the surface tension in the lung alveoli. Okay, what are the diseases due to prolactin? Let's say hyperprolactinemia, that means increased production of prolactin. Okay, is a relatively common disorder. Okay, the condition has numerous causes. What are the causes? Okay, prolactin secreting tumors. Let's say lectotrophs, tumor of lectotrophs is there. Okay, so that will increase the production of prolactin, or therapy with certain drugs may also lead to decreased production of this prolactin. Common manifestation of hyperprolactinemia in women includes, okay, if there is too much prolactin, what will happen in case of women or female? Amenorrhea, that means there will be a lack of menstrual cycle, or galactorrhea, excessive or spontaneous secretion of the milk. Okay, so in case of men, if there is hyperprolactinemia, that means increased production of prolactin. Hypogonadism is said. As I told you, the decreased function of the gonads. Okay, it will be there. That will decrease the sex drive, decrease sperm production, and even it can lead to impotence. Okay, such men also often show breast enlargement because there is too much secretion of the prolactin. It is causing growth of the breast or mammary gland, as I told you. Okay, so in case of men also, if this is happening, there may be breast enlargement, but very rarely produce milk. Okay, condition causing elevated prolactin secretion, we can say prolactinoma. I told you, tumor of the lectotrophs. If there is excess TRH, you already know that TRH is also causing increased production of prolactin. Antipsychotic medications may also cause increased prolactin production. and emotional stress. And what are the conditions causing decreased prolactin are bulimia, eating disorder, and excess dopamine. Okay, if too much excess dopamine is there, prolactin secretion cannot take place. Okay, what about the hypoprolactinemia, decreased production of prolactin? Okay, it can result from hypopituitarism, decreased function of the leptotrophs. We can say excessive dopaminergic action in the tuberoinfundibular pathways. Okay, so these are the, I would say, pharmacological term. Okay, ingestion of D2 receptors and agonists such as bromocriptine. Okay, some drugs they may also decrease the production of prolactin. It is associated with, okay, low production of prolactin is associated with ovarian dysfunction, arteriogenic erectile dysfunction, premature ejaculation, oligozoospermia, low sperm count, atenospermia, reduced sperm motility, hypofunction of seminal vesicles, and hypoandrogenism, less production of androgens. Okay, so the meaning of this unit that this prolactin, it is very much related to the reproduction. Okay, that we have to remember. So this is what we get. Thank you. You may leave now.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.